So welcome. We're here with Fíonta and Fonteva for a joint presentation on exploring and upgrading to Fonteva Platform 15. So Shannon and I have had a really great time chatting about this, and we're just before we started talking about how much we appreciate the functionality that is coming our way. All right, so just a little bit about Fíonta. We've been in business since 2001. We've worked with 1,200 nonprofit and association clients. We're a Salesforce consulting partner. We're 75 plus in the US. We're a great place to work, and we are a woman-owned and led company. And I'm very proud of our relationship with Fonteva. In fact, Shannon and I got to work together when I was subcontracting with Fíonta and Fonteva back in the day when we were consultants together.
Ooh, yeah.
So just a quick introduction for us. I'm Jennifer Alonso. I'm the association practice lead. And what that means is that should you work with Fíonta on the association side, I will be your project sponsor, and the technical team reports to me, and I work to make sure that they are supported so that you have a successful project throughout. Shannon, tell us about you.
So my name is Shannon Zdanowicz. I'm the Senior Technical Product Manager for Associations at TogetherWork, which is the umbrella over both Fonteva and ProTech. My background, I've been doing AMS and CRM for about 30 years now, and not to age myself, but I'm a little proud of my journey. So I've worked for a large global financial software company and worked with some large enterprise customers during my tenure. And I moved over to Fonteva. I was brought in to implement Salesforce and Fonteva for a Fonteva customer 7 years ago. And I was there for a couple years and then made a shift over to Fonteva 5 years ago. Like Jennifer mentioned in the beginning, I was in professional services, and then the plan was always to move over to product, but I wanted to do my kind of tour duty in PS and get some more front-end customer facing time on the ground implementing. And then I moved to product management 3 years ago. And currently I lead the team of 5 product managers over Fonteva and ProTech.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shannon. All right, I'm going to actually fully turn it over to you, Shannon, to talk us through the Fonteva Platform 15 overview. And I have the button, so please feel free to just let me know when you want me to move us forward.
Sure. So I think everyone's familiar with the forward-looking statement. Just make sure you're making decisions based on currently available features. We are going to talk about the forward stuff through this deck a lot. The focus of this deck is what's coming. So go ahead and flip. Okay, so I wanted to start here and just talk about 15.0, which went GA earlier this quarter. And this has been a shift for us over the last year. We've really, 18 months or so, we've been focused on 2 things, right? The first thing was the foundation and how we wanted to move forward with Fonteva, and quality was a huge focus of our time, and fixing the quality of the product and making sure that we were able to sustain that quality going forward. So if you've taken, recent patches, you should see that our patch quality has significantly increased. And then we did launch 15.0 with a beta, a group of, I think we have 8 customers that were involved in the beta. And some of them have since then taken 15.0 live. There were not a ton of tangible features in 15.0 because we were focused on the foundation. So we've been working on performance improvements and increasing our processing limits. And that's really been a huge focus for us over the last 18 months. And the second part of where we've been focused is, what is our mission and how do we want to evolve this product going forward? So one of the key things that we decided was that we really needed to completely embrace the path of Salesforce. So if you stayed connected with Salesforce and how they're evolving the solution, Lightning Web Components is the commitment from Salesforce, right? They 100% Lightning Web Components and no longer leveraging Visualforce or Aura. even though Aura is considered supported for Lightning, that is no longer going to be a direction for us, because our goal is to get you guys on the Lightning Web Runtime community. So that came out from Salesforce last year, and it has significantly improved performance on page load times and processing times on the community. So Fonteva has committed to delivering that same functionality for our customer base and letting you embrace that new methodology from Salesforce. This also goes along the lines of, Flow is a major tool on the platform, and then making sure that we're staying on par with security and analytics. So you'll be hearing more to come around AI and how we're going to be embracing that and delivering tools for you to leverage AI on the platform. So Fonteva's commitment is also, a main goal is to deliver scalable solutions. And I think that's what you're going to see in these slides throughout this deck, is how we are re-engineering and redesigning the UI so that it will be more scalable for you to both extend or tailor the experience to meet your organization's needs and goals. And we're giving you more control over the end user, the member experience on your community. And how are we going to do that? These 5 things across the top are what I'm going to dive into in the following slides, but service-oriented architecture is a big piece of it, along with Lightning Web Runtime and reusable components, which I am very excited about. So I can't wait to dive in and show you a little bit more about that. And then on our longer term strategy are the right 2 circles, which are the Health Wizard and One Version. So we are working towards moving Fonteva to the same model that Salesforce has, where you would get automatic upgrades. It's not going to happen in the next 12 months or probably 24. So take a deep breath. This is a longer term strategy. We are first focused on delivering this Health Wizard to you guys that will position you to be able to successfully handle One Version when that comes out. And One Version is also going to be a multi-step approach. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a later slide. But these are the levers that we're focused on. And the reason that we have focused on these levers is because we want to support client-specific needs, right? Your ability to extend or customize and tailor the experience. So if you want to go to the next slide. So this slide is kind of, and it's not 100% because, there's a lot in the product. So I tried to pick features, right? And one of the main things that we noticed was we knew we needed to upgrade e-commerce. So e-commerce is a big lever that we're focused on, both with analytics and reusable components. That is our big effort around e-commerce. And you're going to see in this presentation today how reusable components are going to change how you plan your community and how you leverage all of our features, base and community. Another area where we've been focusing is chapter management. I like to say that we supported your ability to sell a chapter, and then we kind of stopped. And that was a decision we felt that we needed to correct, right? So we have worked on and built out some chapter functionality that will allow you to decide what your level of engagement is around chapters. So you can just manage your chapters on the back end as a staff, the way you sell them today, right? As a package item, and then you know who belongs to a chapter. But there's an additional layer that's now going to be available if you choose to utilize it. You can build out a dashboard, and we deliver a base dashboard for chapter leaders where they can go on the community and see more information about their chapter. They can manage their chapter officers. They can communicate messaging and alerts and interact with other officers and their member roster, as well as we even have some customers that allow chapters to create and sell event tickets through the community. So this is something that we've tailored and customized for a lot of our customer base in the past, and we have moved to a standard solution. This is still in beta, but we do have a large higher ed customer that is getting ready to go live next month, and their entire solution is built around our new chapter management module. So that leverages reusable components as the base structure for our new chapter management model. The other thing, which I'm super excited about, this is probably the one topic that you have a hard time shutting me up about, is consumer journey, right? The join process needed to move. It needed to move to Lightning and get out of CP Base. It's the last feature we have on CP Base before we can deprecate support of that community model. So consumer journey is something our team is currently working on. We're in the second milestone. And actually, just a little note, we did a internal stakeholder milestone from demo 1 just earlier this week. So we got a bunch of feedback from our internal subject matter experts, and everyone's really excited about this feature. We are moving journey to be based off of flow as the foundation. And what this change is going to do for your ability to tailor your journey experience is lifting a lot of restrictions. So using Salesforce Flow as the foundation will allow you to leverage things like approval processes that are provided standard by Salesforce. And we're modeling the reusable components from the community to also support journey. So we'll support all the existing steps, marketing step and all of that, but we're adding a lot of capability to journey. And we also renamed it. We did not want to keep the join process as the name because the new consumer journey is a controlled purchase flow, and it is certainly not limited to membership. So this is where you can take a set of logic and apply it to a flow to control the experience of how a member clicks through a purchase process. It could be for membership, and certainly I'm sure that's the biggest use case that will be leveraged. But you'll also be able to leverage Journey to, say, sell education or certification programs where maybe you need to make sure someone meets and acquire prerequisites before they can purchase this suite of products. So it's really lifting a lot of restrictions, and it's about a controlled purchase flow, not just joining as a member anymore. So that's a high level, and the following slides, we're just going to dive into all these topics, but I want to just set the foundation of what we're talking about. Harnessing the power of the platform is definitely our motto, our goal. That's what we talk about all the time. And if you attended the conference recently, you probably heard a lot about that at the conference. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. So how do I make decisions, and our team and leadership decide about what's going to be in the product and where we need to move? These are two levers that we've really been focused on. Reducing cost for our customers. So one thing I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'm going to focus on reusable components, right? Reusable components are Lightning Web components built by Fonteva that are easier to configure. And the reason we made that decision is because it will significantly reduce cost of ownership for our customers, right? Speed to market with delivering features, higher level confidence because WCAG, AA 2.2 is included as part of this, right? Security is included. We build automation on every reusable component. And so you'll have a higher level of confidence, and they will upgrade. So they're tested in every upgrade, and they'll upgrade seamlessly. So this is where one of the, just a peek on how we make decisions around what we're going to include in our strategy moving forward. So does this new feature reduce cost of ownership for customers? Are they able to get new features to market faster and do it with a higher level of confidence? Another lever that we focus on is your ability to increase revenue and have insight into your increased revenue. So for this one, I did a little teaser about analytics. I want to talk about performance as my example here. Currently, we're neck deep and getting ready to go into the final stretch on 15.1. And 15.1 is everything that we didn't get into 15.0 as far as performance and limit improvements. We've been partnering with Salesforce directly on this. Salesforce architects have come in, helped us analyze the product, working with our architects, and determine what the best path forward was to re-engineer some of the processing in the system. So I'm going to give an example. Today, if you just benchmark the number of orders that you can process per day and take payment on through the store, right? It's around 10,000 per day, depending on the contents of the orders that you typically see, but around 10,000 a day. And then you could potentially start running into governor limits and processing limits. So this was a problem we worked with Salesforce on. What were the changes we needed to do? Our recent tests, we're at 6x. So 66,000 per day was the bench test 2 weeks ago. I don't have the new ones this week. I probably won't have those till next week, but really proud of those numbers. And if you're doing it on the back end, we're seeing an 8x improvement. So taking the store out of the picture, if staff were processing orders or they were going through some kind of automation, we're at over 80,000 per day. We're not done. And this is a huge commitment, is to scale the product to process more, have more power, and be in line with Salesforce limits better. So this has been the huge focus for 15.1, is continuing and delivering some more of that main performance improvements. So let's jump to the next slide. Okay, so let's look at the overall roadmap before we dive into details of some of these features. So I just mentioned 15.0 was GA earlier this year, and we're currently focused on 15.1. Performance and limits are the main focus, but we are also finishing out a lot of the chapter and reusable component work. This is going to include some enhancements to spark plugs that can be leveraged for integrations, as well as customizing or tailoring your order processing. The examples I'd like to give here are an Avalara tax integration, or maybe a custom shipping solution. On the back end, there was a limit of not being able to, you have to like exit rapid order entry, go to the base page, and then go back into apply payment. We're fixing that type of flow and extending some of the spark plugs that support that. Another big thing we're doing is the WCAG effort. So we're upgrading our WCAG compliance to AA 2.2 to align with Salesforce. And this is going to be supported on all the new features. They're currently backporting it for the existing pages. And as we develop the new pages, everything is coming out of the gate with WCAG AA 2.2. We're also bringing back order level shipping. So that was some feedback from the customer base that they wanted that back, and we're restoring that functionality. That's currently actually in development right now as we speak. So we're happy to bring that back, and that's going to be the cutoff for the delivery of 15.1. Timing for 15.1, we're expecting to GA in June for 15.1. It's actually in beta today with a couple customers, and we're on target to deliver that June timeframe. Now, we've already started working on these 16.0 initiatives. In parallel, we have a couple teams on 15.1, and a couple of our other teams are focused on 16.0, and they're currently working on Journey. I believe we're going into the third milestone for Journey and Profile, which is the new profile and supporting pages. And then after those complete, we'll be focusing on the new product detail pages, store, cart, and checkout. And I'm super excited to go into some of these details. So this is where we're going to focus some of our time. If we want to go to the next slide, I want to give you a peek into the longer term.
Shannon, if you don't care if I interrupt here because they're pertinent to here. So you have 3 questions. Oh, just 2 questions. And then, hi, Alan. Nice to see you, Alan. And I got to work together a couple years ago. The first question is, when did 15 become GA? I didn't see an official date, and I couldn't remember.
I'm horrible with dates, but I believe it was the end of January. It might have been the first week of February, but I think it was the end of January that it went GA. And I think we have, I don't know, about a dozen customers that are already live on it, and a lot more that are testing it right now.
Wonderful. Then a question, when 15.1 is available, will upgrade to 15 be required before deploying 15.1?
I'm trying to ask that question myself. Based on what I have now, yes, you would take 15 and then 15.1, but I'm going to say with a high level of confidence that the 15.1 jump will be easy, right? It's all back end. You know, there's not new screens, new pages other than shipping. It's all back end foundation work, right? It's our processing engines. So you should be able, if you haven't taken 15 and you want to take them both at the same time, it should not increase the scope. So if you haven't pulled the lever on 15, maybe you want to consider aligning that time and taking them together. Or the easier route could be, which is some of the customers I've been dealing with, they wanted to get 15 out of the way so that they could take 15.1 quickly. So it's really what's going to align with your organization.
Right, wonderful. All right, I'm going to press the button now to move on.
Sure, great. So let's talk about year 2, 3, 4. And these are not in any order. I just wanted to get them in front of you and saying we haven't made final decisions as to what's going to be in 2025 yet. I can give you my preferences. Other than the Health Wizard, which will be, we've committed to that. It's a multi-year deliverable, is the Health Wizard in one version. That has a permanent place for sure with at least one team in 2025. We're looking at events. This is a big area. I'm doing a big analysis on events right now to decide what do we need to do with events. We know we need to do some lightning work on events for sure. Get it all under LWC base. So that's going to replace the front end experience. The question is, do we replace the back end builder or can we focus on the front end and instead do some enhancements? I would love to do some enhancements on events. Some of the things I'm looking at, just to give you a peek into my brain. This is some stuff we're pulling these levers on the ProTech side. And during the research, I was like, oh, customers want this on Fonteva too. So exhibits, right, are a big thing. Trade show floor management, kiosk, self-check-in, availability for on-site events. Those are some of the things we're evaluating. We're also looking at, session flows, like dependencies. There's some limitations like on dependencies. So if I offer session 1 in 2 different places and I have session 2 and I need to have taken one of those first 2. Right now, you can't really do a lot of that. It's very limited. So extending kind of that. So if you're a big events user and you have some use cases, I would encourage you to feed those through and get those back to me. I think Jennifer can coordinate that through. She has direct access to our partner manager who I meet with twice a week. So if you have use cases or requirements you're looking for in events gaps, I would love to hear them. Another big customer ask is this credit memo management and vouchers. So this is something we've customized for a couple customers. And I think partners have done some customization work around here as well. Credit memo management is one piece and vouchers is a second. So I'm going to talk about vouchers first. Vouchers is the ability it's basically a gift card kind of deal, right? But it's usually a voucher for a specific item, but it could be for a certain amount. So we need the ability for somebody to do this in bulk. Some of the use cases we have is more around our employer-based customers, right? They want to purchase membership for all their employees and hand them out a code and say, here, go do the join process, right? And it'll be journey, but be able to complete that or attend an event. Here's your voucher. Everybody go sign up for this event, right? So the ability to do that in mass and manage those vouchers is something we're looking at putting in the product. The other piece is credit memo management. This has been a long ask of they want members to be able to self-apply credits, right? Seems easy. Wasn't easy when I dug into it. The use cases vary by customer here, but basically what we're looking to do is allow you to control which credits a member can apply, but also give you the ability to control how certain credits are used. So we have a lot of customers that take prepayments on events. So somebody's running out their budget and they say, I'm going to cut you this check for 10 grand now. We plan to support 1 or 2 of your events later. We'll figure it out later, right? But they just want to get you the check before their budget session closes, right? So you put it as a credit on the account, and then you don't know how you're going to apply it. Well, you need to be able to restrict that and say, this is an events credit memo and can only be applied by the events team, you know. So lock that down and control who has access to apply those credits. And that's kind of a high level of what we're doing there. And then analytics is something we've committed to. We're partnering with Salesforce um, on both predictive and generative AI and how we can bring those features into Fonteva. Okay. All right, so let's jump into the fun stuff that I get really excited about now that we got through the busy work, right?
We do have one offer just in terms of wish list. So looking at offline check-in. So the example is we have large events where Wi-Fi or internet is not reliable.
Sure.
Right now they're having to move data. So any thoughts about that, Shane?
It's actually on the list of how to handle offline check-in. So we've got the fortunate thing is when managing both Fonteva and ProTick, I get the benefits of if I task somebody with something, I make them evaluate it from both sides, right? So we've done a deep dive. We've got a really nice built out list for events, and fortunately that is one that gets asked for on both sides. So,
Wonderful. All right, next slide.
okay. So let's talk about the new profile. This is a mock-up. This is not the actual new profile, but this is a mock-up from our UX team. And where we're going with the community is this component-driven design. So this is a profile page where we have, what do we got? 7 components on this page, right? I have an overview of the member, and then that membership card represents their membership subscription. They have their wallet with their payment methods, their address book. They can see their badges, and you see this little reminder. So we're building in the ability to set alerts and send alert communications to your members through their profile page. Each one of these is an individual component. It's delivered to the page through what we are currently calling reusable components. I'm waiting on marketing to figure out what we're going to name that thing forever, but a reusable component is a Lightning Web component that's built by Fonteva, but it will not require you to have an engineer to use that reusable component. So this is where we talk about reduced cost of ownership, speed to market. So it's faster to build and more economical to build because you won't need an engineer to build every component from scratch, right? If you need a list view component, we have a list view component, and you drag it and drop it on the page, and you use the configuration menu. A lot of these are supported by a field set. So it's as simple as creating a field set to display the fields that you want, and then you plug that field set into the component and define the number of columns, things like that. So they're very configurable. I'm not an engineer, and I can successfully use about a dozen of these right now, and have built out an entire page myself, which I think that's a good benchmark for me, knowing I'm not an engineer. So the concept is the member, instead of coming in and having to click on all these different menu items to see all their stuff, this is an overview for them. And then they can have drill down. So if I want to manage my membership, right? I can drill down into my memberships. If I want to manage my wallet, I'll be able to drill down into that supporting page and add new payment methods, delete payment methods, update payment methods, right? So that's the whole concept is component driven, drill down navigation and flexibility to extend or customize. So if you don't like our profile page or you only like part of it, then you can swap it out, right? You can build your own page from scratch using the reusable components. You can build your own Lightning Web components to support if you have a specific use case. You'll be able to mix and match stuff you build yourself with stuff we provide. And our plan is to ship templates that you can start from a template so that you're not starting from the foundation ground and figuring it out from scratch. You can grab one of our templates, and that should save you significant time when rolling out or extending the solution. Okay, so let's jump to the next slide. Here's the one I get excited about is consumer journey, right? So on the left, journey replaces join. Flow will be the new foundation, and we're going to leverage reusable components, but wanted to make sure you know feature parity. So marketing step, we'll have a marketing step. Product selection, we'll have a product selection step. We will have authentication step. Everything that's there today, you'll have tomorrow in Journey. But let's talk about all the new stuff, right? So progress bar. If you're familiar with the path in Salesforce that you see on the back end, that's one option that you have, is to display a progress bar as a path. You can also just display it as a percentage, so it'll show percent complete. This was customer request, right? They want to be able to convey to the new prospective member or the user how far they are in this step of completing this task, right? So you'll be able to include progress bar. We have also added account relationships. I don't know how many of that apply to, but we have a lot of customers that have employer-based models. So when they have a new person coming in, they want them to be attached to the correct employer. And this is usually a custom step today. It's usually done with the custom page. So now will be a standard step that you can choose to include. It's really cool. They actually demoed it the other day. This is one of the new ones I got to see finished. You can configure what the lookup is, what the search is. So if you don't want to expose your account names, your whole account list, right? You can say domain matching is one that people use, right? Type in the domain of your email, we'll match against that and return only those accounts, right? We don't want you to be able to go out and view a list of accounts and pick. We want you to put in a criteria, right? So it's pretty flexible. It fits a lot of use cases, and it's very tailorable. But what the end result will be is the contact will be associated to that account. That's the end result for that step. Another big customer ask, all these were customer asks, by the way, 100% of this list came from customers. Display current membership. So I guess a lot of people joined twice, right? This was a problem when I was a customer. They apparently join again instead of renewing. So you'll be able to stop them and display a page and say, we show you currently have this membership, and redirect them to manage their existing membership instead of joining again. Donations, ability to put a donation page into a join flow journey. Approval processes are a big ask. I'm going to give a quick use case about this, because I think once I explain it, people are like, oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. This comes more into play with our professional associations. I'm going to talk about lawyers for a minute, right? So if I'm going to join, I might need to supply proof of my insurance, my license, my status, with the bar, and I got to upload all of that, and they've got to review it before I am approved to join as a member. So what this will allow you to do is use Authenticate Now, which will authorize your card but not collect funds at the time. And then it could kick off an approval process. And then if it's approved, it will collect the funds. And if it's denied, then you can communicate to the member the prospect the next steps on, what are you missing, or where can they go now to move this forward. So those two go hand together, approvals and Authenticate Now, collect later. You could use approvals for a lot of other use cases, but that's the one example I like to give. All steps complete. If you ever had somebody break out of a join process and then go to their cart and pay, that means they might have missed completing a form, right? Or missed doing an add-on package item. So this is going to confirm that all steps are complete before the cart is available for something in a journey. And then I'm really happy about these two, confirmation page and email. My biggest pet peeve today is that the end of a join process lands on a page that says your payment was successful, right? Not the best experience. You want to be able to convey, here are your new member benefits, and here's your next steps on how you can leverage something. This should be an experience where they're going to be engaged and curious and start diving in and looking what's available to them as a member. So this confirmation page allows you to control the content and link out to multiple different locations from that page. And the confirmation email will align with that page, so you can tailor both experiences, and they can be different for every journey. So if your journey branches and you maybe have a student membership and a professional, your confirmation page for student can be very different than it was for professional. This is going to be a really nice experience for your member base. And then this is not in scope for phase 1, but for phase 2 of Journey, we're looking to leverage this new tool to replace how renewals work overall. This tool will give you a lot more power with your renewal paths and how your member goes through renewing if they're not using automatic renewals. So that's the end game, is to also move renewal management into Journey.
Thank you, Shannon. And I have to, I'm a little behind on questions. So I'm going to actually ask this question for both reusable components and consumer journey.
Sure.
So these are, and the question is, are these available in 15.0, or is this more of a long-term vision for the next few versions?
So this is 16.0. What we're talking about right now is 16.0. The profile and the journey will be in 16.0. We are targeting to enter beta in Q4. This beta may be a little longer beta because there's a lot, right? And you've got to kind of transition a whole community. So I think our beta for 15.0 was 2 months. We probably are going to do more like a whole quarter beta. I think we had 8 customers in the 15.0 beta. Probably are going to be looking the same size, right? 8 to 10 customers.
Okay, great. And then a question, will the Fonteva LWC, so Lightning Web components, have flexibility to change the layout, or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
talk about that.
Let's
Yes.
talk about that. Can you flip back a slide and I'll actually talk with it in front of us.
Well, there I go. Okay.
Okay. So, and I always say this is a mock-up because UX team is still learning a little bit of the restrictions, right? But the new community is going to embrace Flexi Pages from Salesforce. So if you're not familiar with Flexi Pages, I would suggest you get out on Trailhead and take that Flexi Page model. But basically, you can go into the page and by row. So let's say this first row, the member information, the reminder, and the badges, that's your first row. It actually would not look like this. Reminders and badges cannot stack. But what you can do is you can define the number of columns in that row and the size, the width of those columns. So I could have 1/2 be member information and then split and do reminders and badges to the right. I then can define my next row, and maybe my next row has 3 equal components, right? And I'm going to put payment, my wallet, my address book, my orders, right? So you can build your page that way, row by row, and control the experience, the number of columns, the width of those columns, and then one component goes into each column row combination. This is huge for your ability to control how your page will look. We are working on the documentation, and part of what I'm doing with the documentation is showing you kind of how you can leverage and embrace Flexi Pages and components to control your experience. So you can have your member component. Maybe you want the picture on the right. So by the way, the photo part with the name is actually going to be its own component, right? So you can place that, and then you could put their contact information underneath. Maybe you're going to put their orders or something across the top. You can also size each one of these components. So you can control both the height and the width. And if you're doing something like a tile component where the badges are, or a list view, which would be like the payment method or address book, you can control the number of records that will show by default, and then it'll implement pagination if there's more. Or you can suppress the pagination and require them to drill down to see the full data set. So this whole concept has a huge amount of power for you to tailor the experience the way you want your customers to interact with the community. Hope that answered your question.
Great.
I saw another question about credit card approval process also work for event registration. So I'm gonna remind you of the forward-looking statement, right? Here's my vision, but we have not done the POC on this course, but I'm happy to talk about where I would like to take it. I would love for you to be able to select an item off the store and it launch a journey so that you go through a controlled purchase. That would include events. So if you picked a ticket and went through event registration, we would like you to be able to leverage journey and control the purchase of an event registration, which could include approvals and credit cards. But you have to remember that events have a time bound restriction, right? So it releases for capacity. That's going to be a consideration with events. One thing we're considering is if you are going to leverage this, could we auto invoice it, right? So that their seat is locked in or something like that. And then if it doesn't get approved, it would void it and release the seat. So we have some POC work to do around events, but we do have this into consideration for events, allowing you to use leverage, journey, and credit card approvals.
Right, and one more. Will there be a future opportunity for customers to access the Stripe gateway, as we have many records that are not being generated or getting duplicate records, receipts and e-payments? It would be nice if we could validate what actually hit the gateway for troubleshooting.
I'm going to ask that you connect with support on that. It's something that we've been focused um, on enhancing that problem. I actually just wrote up 2 enhancements to the feature to address some of that. So you should connect a support case and get some updated information about that. Maybe at the end, if we have time, we can dive into that a little bit, okay?
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
I have a few enhancements I could talk about on payments. Okay.
So here we are, Health Wizard.
Health Wizard. So here's one thing that we found out in customer conversations, and I think Fíonta could probably support the fact that this is more common than not, right? You have a customer that's been live for a while. They've maybe had some attrition. Maybe one partner implemented and they've now shifted their relationship to a different partner. We find that our customers don't even always know what's in their org, right? So this is where we decided to start with the Health Wizard. We definitely have a bigger vision, but we're starting with, let's just help you understand what is in your org, right? That's not base Fonteva. And then another layer to that is, what are you using that's no longer current, right? So are you still using a feature that's been deprecated or is being deprecated? Lightning campaigns was launched in 15.0, and we will, obviously don't want you to stay on the old campaigns, right? So that's an example of it would come back and tell you you're leveraging CP-based campaigns and we need you to migrate to Lightning campaigns, right? So what the Health Wizard is going to do is it lets you go in and do a run. And when you select that run, you'll be able to select the types of things that you're going to audit. And it will go through and return you a page that details out line by line. Here is every flow we found in the system. Here is every routing rule and supporting Apex logic trigger that is in the system. Every single thing will be detailed out for you, and then we will provide some recommendations. That recommendation could clearly just be a link to, here's the new feature you need to migrate to, right? If you're using CP-based Lightning campaigns, we want you to use Lightning campaigns, right? So the first stage is identify, and it's going to use an algorithm to show you kind of an overall health score based on what we found in the system. And then the next phase will be, that's what we're working on right now, identify. The next phase will be the recommendation phase. And then the third phase of this is to be an upgrade assistance, right? So using all 3 of those together, let's say you're going to take 16.0, right? You'd start with running the Health Wizard, and it's going to help you understand what's in your org and identify areas that you need to look at and provide you some guidance on that. And then after you've kind of completed those checks, you can run the Health Wizard again, confirm, and then go through the upgrade assistance. So that's the bigger plan with Health Wizard. This is very early showing you. We actually haven't started building anything. We're only doing POCs at this point with the architecture team, and Salesforce has also been supporting us in this effort. It's really nice to have the partner status that we do because we have access to Salesforce architects to support our team.
Going back one slide with Journey, will we be able to have different payment types per item? For example, memberships can use Invoice Me, but events must be credit card.
That is something I am looking at. That is not in scope of this Journey feature right now. But we have a separate feature that's currently not placed on the roadmap. It's actually something we do in ProTech. And I was like, oh, once I saw it, I was like, man, I need to bring that over to Fonteva. They have a page that lets you control payment types by item type and by purchase amount, right? So if your purchase is over a certain amount, maybe you can only use ACH because it's a lot more economical. Or controlling the default payment method by the type of item or the amount of the item. So that's definitely on the roadmap. I just don't have it placed. It's actually not something that is in scope of the technology for Journey. That would be in scope of the checkout pages, which are in the store, which are later in the year. So I have a little bit of time still on that, but it's something that we're evaluating. We definitely want to bring you that functionality, and it's really cool. When I saw it in ProTech, I was like, oh yeah, our customers will love this. So put it on the list. And I didn't even have to do the research because they already had it scoped and designed. This is where better together comes in great, right?
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to ask you a question. Can you just quickly describe what's available now? What are the changes with 15 that folks who are looking to upgrade right now?
So like I said, there's a lot of foundation stuff in 15 that you're not actually going to see, but you'll see the benefits of it, right? But let's talk about new features that were in 15. There's a new refund page. And I'm gonna preface this with there is an amazing walkthrough training on 15.0 on the Fonteva Academy. I would encourage you to do it. In fact, when I proofed it and signed off on it, I then made my entire team do it. And then all of the other leaders made their entire teams do it. So every staff member has gone through this. It's really nice. Our new training team has really leaps and bounds, right? Progressing how we're doing e-learning for our customer base. But there's a new refund screen, and I'm really proud of this refund screen. I didn't build it or design it, but it's how I got over into product. It was based on a customization I built for a customer 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. You know how today you create your refund, and then if you got to edit your lines and remove, you got to keep jumping in and out of sales order line, out of receipt lines and editing them. The new refund page is a one page. It shows you everything. You can deselect items, you can alter amounts, you can change your refund type. So if you don't want to give the member money back, you can select the option and it will create a credit. So it'll refund to a credit. And it's all on one nice screen. Here's a nice little extra that you got was if you use deferred, if you have any type of deferred, it will present you the unrecognized refund amount. So I have a journal and they want to cancel it halfway through and they've used up 4 months and unused 6, right? It's going to look at your unrecognized revenue and present that as the refund amount. You can then change it. You can change it to full and give a full refund, or you can change it to custom and manually set your refund amount. But we do the math and do the work on the proration so you can refund unrecognized revenue only. That's one nice bell and whistle. The refund to a credit is a big customer ask that we were able to deliver. That was also in that original customization I did for a big customer. So all of that's in the new refund screen. You also have, this is a really cool feature. If you take a lot of prepayments, or you quickly need to take a payment, but you don't have time to create that big order where it needs to be applied, you create a default item, and what it will do is it will automatically, you would create the sales order, grab that. It usually says prepaid item, I think is what our user documentation recommends. If you quickly go into ROE, grab that item, set the amount, and take payment, it will automatically convert that to a credit on that account or contact. So it allows you to quickly take a payment. Then you can go back, create that detailed order, invoice it, and apply that credit. That's another new feature. And then here's a really big one. If you have a credit on account, you can refund it back to the member. So say you refund to a credit, you think they're going to apply it, you keep going back and forth. They say, no, I just want to give my money back. We know you want to preserve that relationship, so you can now refund that back. Those are your big things, and then lightning campaigns.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna switch. I'm gonna talk a little bit about implementing your upgrade. Shannon, there are a couple comments on the Q&A if maybe
Sure.
you want to review those or type into those while I'm talking. And then we will definitely get you a link to that 15.0 Academy, Brandon. All right, so moving to 15.0. So I just want to relieve anyone who maybe went from the 18.1 to 18.2 or 19 upgrade. You don't need to panic this time. So those upgrades had some really major changes to the data schema, and they were really great. But I think all of us who did those, they were hard, right? So if you'll excuse the Hitchhiker's Guide references, this time you barely need the towel. No need to panic. Some things to think about as you prepare, not only for 15.0, but the upgrades that Shannon has been talking about. So, the first thing is make sure you understand the functionality, right? Really understand what is the change, why do we need it, how is it going to affect both our customers and the staff that you work with. Do know for 15.0 that if you are on Fonteva Payments, so only if you're on Fonteva Payments, but you're on Fonteva Payments 1, you do need to move to 2, and you need Fonteva's help to do that. So reach out to them if that is the case for you. Second, know that you're going to really need to prepare your sandboxes in, I'm just going to call it in the best practices way. So I know all of us sometimes skip steps because we're trying to get things done quickly, but for an upgrade, we really want you to get that sandbox refreshed so it's as close as it can be to your production environment. Go back and prepare your test scenarios. So maybe it has been a while since you had your implementation, things have changed. So make sure that you and your team know what you need to test, what has changed, especially on that member services side, right? So when it makes sure that every single membership and event item can get through past the upgrade. And do make a plan to test, right? So really think about what is the capacity, not just for your technical team, but for your user team to go through and test everything that has changed. So I'm saying all of that because what I really want our clients to do is and everyone to do is to really think like, let's plan a launch date for this upgrade and then work backwards. So we figure out what we need to do now to get there. And it may be that you find that really your launch date is too soon and you need to really think about, a 6-month preparation time instead of a 3-week preparation time, or 3 months instead of 2 weeks, those sorts of things. So the most important thing, I just really have to underline it, is you do need to consider your security schema. So we know that that we should all be on permission sets now, and that our tool from Fonteva before permission sets is retired. However, we also know that many of our clients haven't made that change yet. So if you're not on permission sets yet, you need to do that first. And if you think about how security affects everything, that's the place where I really want you to think, gosh, if we're not there yet, how much testing are we going to need to do in our sandbox so that we can be confident about permission sets going live in production, and then thinking about our upgrade to 15. There is a schema change in campaign, so that is a place to, if you have a customization using Fonteva campaigns, that's a place where you may need to to think about, okay, how are we going to make the change? And then also customizations around refunds and credit memos. So you just heard from Shannon that we have some really, really great changes with refunds. But if you have customizations there, there is going to be a change for your users about how they use them. A good change, but a change that you need to plan for with them. All right. When are you going to do it? This is organizationally dependent, but do think, are there serious pain points that the upgrade will resolve that are going to force you or encourage you and your users to upgrade to 15 sooner? And I'm just going to say again, Shannon, thank you so much. Refunds, refunds, refunds. This is huge. Do you think, what is already on your plate? Is there a slower season where testing will not feel so onerous? And also, how far behind are you? Are you in spring 20? Does that mean that you need to upgrade to at least 21 and then upgrade to 15? So where are you, and how much time do you have to upgrade one by one? I am risk averse on this. I think the best approach is to upgrade per per release and test. So that way you know what the problems may be. All right. If you're still panicking, if I said all of these things, said you don't need a towel, don't worry about it, but you still feel a little consternation, do call your partner. And that can be Fíonta. We have a towel and we can help. So when to call a partner. Your plate is full and you do not have capacity to do this. You are already fully supporting your team and there just is not a place in your time to do that. That's the time to bring to your executives, you know what, we really do need to bring in a partner. Upgrades are important. The things that Fonteva is offering to us in 15 and above are, well worth our time, and let's work with a partner to make sure that we can do those and, support our users. If you're not at least on winter 21, do consider this, right? Because really you're going to be doing more than one upgrade. And so having help and support in that, especially if you have a lot of customization that you need to think about and test, that might be a place to bring in me and my team. If you haven't moved from Access Manager to permission set, so if you are really struggling with that change, again, we can help and support and help think through your testing plans and what to do if things are not working on that golden path. This may also happen, right? Your implementation maybe happened a long time ago. You've heard before your time that you have a very highly customized org, but you don't know how that's going to affect your upgrades. We don't have the health tool yet, so maybe I'm calling in Fíonta to help you understand where your customizations are and how your upgrade will be affected. We can help you with that. So maybe it is even just an assessment. So we can sit down and tell you, what your upgrade is going to be much more complicated because you have a lot of customizations for refunds, a lot of customizations with campaigns. Or maybe you have some additional work that you'd like to package up as a project, right? So you have a lot of backlog. You also have this upgrade in front of you. Let my team help you put it together and maybe make things better, faster for your users because you already have a full-time job and are not going to be able to get through all of the functionality requests plus upgrade. So 2 ways to work with Fíonta. You can work with the implementation team for associations. That's what I lead. We define a set of work, including assessment, upgrade, testing, and support, as well as additional projects. We give you a defined schedule, and just like they say, we make a plan, we work the plan, and we're finished at the time that we say we're going to be finished. There's another way to work with us too, is you can work with our Accent team, which is also excellent. In that case, you create a backlog of work along with your upgrade, and then you define a number of hours per month that you'd like us to work with you. There are some additional benefits to being an Accent client, and we work strategically with you to use your work hours to supplement the work of your team and to move forward with projects you have in mind. So we would love to work with you. We're excited to answer questions. I see we are right on time. I know Shannon's working on questions, and I can sit here for another 5 minutes and answer questions as I see them. But if we miss anything, we will be able to follow up via email. So Thank you all so much. And let me see what is here. So question about roadmap. Okay. All right. Thank you. Salesforce has removed the 2025
Yeah, I was
profile access deadline. Okay. All right.
just
Thank
answer
you.
that. So as long as Salesforce supports profile level access, you will be able to leverage that. We will just not continue providing Access Manager. What Access Manager did is it would widely update things across multiple profiles at once. And that's, not a best practice. So we made this change to align with Salesforce best practices. So you'll still be able to use profiles as long as Salesforce is supporting those profiles. I will suggest though, once they say they're going to do something, they may are giving you more time. That is not is not a reason to push it off, right? You definitely want to move forward because they're going to enforce a different deadline. There's a reason they're doing this. I don't have that insight yet, but I think they realize they have a little bit more work to do on it too, right? Before they can fully remove it. I'm sure they had a lot of big customers coming at them, but as long as they support profiles, you can do it at that level. I would just start your shift to permission set groups. Yeah, you're on mute.
I agree. It's a heavy lift, and the testing is heavy as well. So and really is your first order of business before you upgrade, and we can help. So thank you all so much, Shannon. Thank you. This was great. A lot
Thanks
of
for
things to
having
get excited.
me. I think I got through all of the Q&A.
Thank you did. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. And please do reach out if you have any questions for Shannon and I. And we look forward to the next time we meet. Take care.
Thanks, guys. That was good.